The postman is here. The postman is coming. 1 second. I need to press this button. Clong. And now it should open. Yes. He's coming! The postman. Alright. Welcome guys, my name is Mark. So in this episode, we are talking about, well, let's see here. The postman. He's taking out some stuff. We are stalking the postman. Let him not see what we are seeing. Alright, this is quite creepy, isn't it? So wait until the post box comes, the post box, and then I'll show you what I ordered, because we will need this for training today. 3, 2, 1. Alright fellas, let's have a look what's inside. Because I already know what it is. It is from a company called Perform Better, which is actually really good in terms of sports gear and stuff. So what I bought was, oh, I love these already, called Flex Fit, whatever. So what these are basically, these are mini bands, and they're made out of Stoff, whatever you say that. Normally they're made out of rubber, but these ones are made out of some sort of fabric. So you use them like this, you know, and you can pull them apart, put them between your legs, and they have different strength, but I think the black one should be, oh, fuck, that's really hard. So everyone is gonna have fun today. Alrighty. So let's talk about the topic at hand today, quickly. Let me just get my coffee. Okay, so let's talk about employed and self-employed, because most of the jobs out there, you can do them as being self-employed or employed. If it's a lawyer, for example, you could be employed as a lawyer within a big company, like a law firm, but the guy who founded the law firm is self-employed or is the founding member of the company. Obviously, there are benefits of being the founding member because you're probably the potential high earner, but you also have most of the responsibility and you have to have some business acumen. You need to know how to run a business. Whereas the lawyer who comes into the firm who just works as a lawyer, he's also earning quite well, good money, but you know, he's just a lawyer. And this is true for, I would say, most of the jobs out there. For example, we're here on a fitness channel talking about personal training. Same thing in our business, or in my business, is you've got big fitness centers like Virgin Active, for example. Their model is most of the time employed. So if you're a personal trainer and you want to be employed, you go to Virgin Active. I think there are some Virgin Actives like Black Labels and stuff which do the self-employed version of it. So you have to be self-employed as a personal trainer and then you go there. But for example, the studio I'm with, like a private PT studio, everyone is self-employed. Now, what are the pros and cons? And this is something I want you to think about. And like I just said, this works for more or less every sort of industry and job. You can start as an employee and later on you can be self-employed or the business owner. But there's more to it. You know, let's just take it in a nutshell of personal training or fitness or massage therapists or yoga studios and stuff. It's all more or less the same, these kind of where we're hands-on with the client. So first thing is that if you're a good personal trainer, that's the first thing you should be, right? I mean, you should know what you're talking about. You should be good at your craft. That's one of the main reasons you're going to be successful. And that is true if you are self-employed or if you're employed. It doesn't really matter. Because if you're employed and you are a good personal trainer, what will happen is that your employer will see you as a good personal trainer and they might give you more responsibility. They will say, you've been here for a year and you've done really well and you're going to be group personal trainer. So you're going to have like a couple of personal trainers you will be looking after and raise them within the company, for example. So you become like a manager sort of type within the company as a personal trainer. And maybe later on you might be, maybe that company like Virgin Active has more than one studio and you might be a group studio personal trainer manager or something like that. So you will be looking after not only in one studio the personal trainers, you might be looking after more throughout. And so you can progress in your role without being self-employed. And that could be a really good route, but there's a cap limit of what you can earn. That's just something you need to know. The benefits are, and this is in Germany true as it is in the UK, you will get part of your social security and insurance will be paid by the employer. And that's a good thing. your NHS and all these things, they're going to be taken care of in a way from your employer. In Germany it's the same thing, your health insurance. So for example, when we employ people here in Germany, you have to pay half of their health insurance and social security stuff, and that we pay half of it and half does the employee. So this is a benefit because you don't have to think about that stuff. And another thing about being employed is also you can just show up, let's say 9 to 5, you work 9, you work 5, you go home and you do whatever you want, because you don't have to think about anything else. Anything else the business takes care of. So if you arrive on that morning at 9 o'clock, your PT clients will already be lined up because someone else will be scheduling that for you. They will say, here Mark is your plan, you've got 10 sessions today, go for it. And the thing is, you get one salary and you have to do around 30 sessions a week. That's your weekly target. So obviously, because like Virgin Active, for example, the reason why I'm talking about Virgin Active doesn't really matter. I can talk about fitness first, I can talk about any other big fitness institution, but I know Virgin Active does the employee version. That's what I'm talking about them. They will set targets for you and they want you to hit that target. If you don't hit that target, you might get less in your pay and stuff like that. So they have the power of telling you what or how to do your job. Right. That was never for me. All right. This is something I never wanted to do this part. I was always self-employed, but before I come to self-employed, I just want to point out there's a good way of doing it. If you just start out, if you need experience in personal training, you don't have any, then that's one of the best ways to go for it, because everything's taken care of. You can just learn your craft as a personal trainer. So you just came fresh off the course. You don't have to think about any business and how to build a business. Just leave that on the side. Say, I want to learn how to be a good personal trainer. Then you go into an employed version. You let other people pay your salary, and you're happy to take on less salary for the learning experience you will have, because you will go through a lot of clients, and that's how you become better as a personal trainer. Now over the time, you'll then say, well, I'm a good PT and my clients get results and all that stuff. Let's become self-employed. Now here's the thing. You could be a totally crappy personal trainer and do really well in business. You see that all the time. But rather than being judgmental and saying, this personal trainer is really crap, and for example, a good example in the UK is Joe Wicks. You might have heard of him, right? The body coach. And I hear so many people hate and shit on him, like, he's a crap personal trainer and he doesn't know what he's doing and blah blah. They're all shitting on him. By the way, he's on TV. He has 3 or 4 books written out. He's got over, 3-4 million followers on Instagram. Whatever, right? Instead of shitting on him, on saying, well, what a crappy personal trainer he is, I would think, well, he has done something right. He has, at the last time I checked, it was 3 years ago, he had a 10 million turnover a year. That's what he turns over a year. If you want to get into that region, you should pay attention to what he's doing instead of shitting on him and saying what a crappy personal trainer it is. And this is where it starts, that people don't have business acumen. They just don't understand what is important and what is not. So instead of thinking of this whole rivalry, which I talked about before, instead of thinking I'm the best, it's nonsense. It's not getting you anywhere. If you're thinking all the time you have to compete against everyone else. Of course there's competition. I'm not saying that, and I said that as well. You have to be aware of what's going on in the market, but don't be that person who hates on that person, because the energy you spend on hating and researching and looking at what the other person is doing is taking time away from you actually building your business. So that doesn't make any sense in my head. So what I would suggest to do if you want to be self-employed, first of all, you need to understand accounting. You need to understand what are expenses, what tax laws are there. Is there a point of being self-employed, or should you have a limited company or a GmbH in Germany, like a Kapitalgesellschaft, or a actual company? Should you be founding a company? Like I own a limited company in the UK because it's much more better, the best English I've ever spoken. Much better in terms of tax compared to being self-employed. But this all just happens because I'm interested in how to run a business and how to save tax, because this is what happens. You start earning a bit more money and all of a sudden the tax person comes and says, give me some more of it, right? And you're like, oh yeah, here it is, little tax man. And then you're like, oh, this was how much I earned, and now I earned this much. And then someone else comes along and says, oh, you have to pay this insurance. Oh, okay, then it's that. Oh, you have to pay this. And you know what I mean? So this is what you earn, and later on it's like here, and you actually earn less than the person who's employed. So you have to be smart in a way of knowing how to create a business. So first thing is, educate yourself in everything business related. Taxes, accounting, and so on and so forth. Laws, And this is something that's all freely available on the internet. And this is also the problem, because most people have no clue where to go and so on and so forth. So what I would suggest is either you go to a person who is already in the situation you are and just ask him, say, who do you use as your accountant, for example? I have got an accountant. I've been using them over 5 years now, and they're great. And they've been teaching me so much about what you can do and can't do. And it's a learning process. It's not like I knew everything when I started, but that's the one thing. Then laws, I found a lawyer. So I made my contract, my PT contract with the lawyer, and so on and so forth. In terms of business, you will need to find, and this is like HMRC, for example, in the UK, you can just go on their website and they have all the regulations and everything you need to know about running a business, being self-employed and employed. If I had my course out, you wouldn't need to do any of it because it would be all in the course. But I might do a bit more on that later. All right, next thing, after you know all the business stuff, then you actually have to do it. You actually have to go through all the hoops and all these things and go and get your business set up and all that stuff. Then you need to know, for example, when you need to pay your taxes. So this is the other thing. When you get the money in, you need to take some money and put it aside and actually leave it there. You know, if you need to pay VAT, for example, VAT is 20% on every purchase, on every sale you make. You need to have that money available to be paying back to the government, like Mehrwertsteuer in Germany. So it's not like everything you earn as this, and this is a big problem with being self-employed personal trainers. And I saw that a lot of times when they just started, they're like, wow, I got £3,000 this month, or £5,000 they earned, and then they spend it all on TV and mobile phones and blah blah blah, and had everything. And I'm like, oh, that's great. When are you gonna pay your tax, or how are you gonna pay this? And they're like, do I have to pay that? And I'm like, okay, that's why you shouldn't be self-employed, because you have no fucking clue what you're doing. The reason why I'm bringing this up is because I want to safeguard you in a way. I want to make sure that you understand what you're in for. I know I'm talking, it might be a longer talk, but it's going to be of value to you. Trust me. There's like a big lesson I learned over years, and I'm going to compromise that maybe in 10 or 15 minutes. Now the other thing is, the second really most important thing is, and I talked about this yesterday in my video, talking about how to get clients. A lot of times when you are part of a company, like an employee, like Virgin Active, they take care of all of that. Marketing and so on and so forth. If you read Virgin somewhere, right, Virgin Active, someone spent money on creating the ad, actually placing the ad, paying for the placement of the ad, making sure it's getting reach, even online if you're targeted. All this stuff costs so much. Marketing is one of the biggest expenses which a company has. And Henry Ford already said, you know, if you don't pay anything for advertising, you're going to be broke. Something like that. There's a better saying of it, but the essence, he says, if you don't advertise, you're going to be broke. This is the thing these companies do. They make sure that a lot of people come into their studios and sign up and so on. But the only way that works is advertising. This is something, if you're self-employed, you would need to do all of that yourself. You need to advertise yourself, and that's why I talked yesterday in the video about why you should have a website, how to get your website ranked, and how to be seen on a mobile phone. So that's the way forward within the next 5 to 10 years. The amount of usage of mobile phones is going to be increasing so much. So many people are going to be on their mobile phones. If you haven't got a placement there, you're going to be gone. No one ever going to find you. No one's going to look on a billboard. If you walk outside, what do people do? They're on their phones all the time. The billboard's passing them saying, here's personal training. They don't give a shit. They don't look at the billboard. Look at what you do. You're on your phone all the time. You don't look at any billboards. So you have to be smart at where to advertise. Think of where's your client, and that's where you need the advertisement in. Why I'm saying that? Because here's another fault of thinking of a personal trainer. What they do is they're in Virgin Active and they're like, yeah, I'm getting all my clients there. And that's the reason why you're employed, because you get that. Now what happens in, for example, Fitness First, where I worked before, it's a total self-employed model. But the company is trying, Fitness First is trying to be nice in a way, saying, well, because it's a win-win situation, right? I mean, you're paying Fitness First rent, so you can use their facilities, and then at the same time, you have to wear their brand and so on and so forth. Now, what happens is, everyone who comes into Fitness First as a new customer, they're basically taking all the numbers, and then it's like a new lead, so to speak, leads coming in. And every personal trainer gets a couple of leads. Like, for example, Mark, we had 5 new people sign up today. Why don't you call them and ask them if they want personal training? So that's great, because it gives you sort of a way of advertising yourself. when you're affiliated with a bigger brand like Fitness First. Now the downfall of this is that not everyone who signs up to a gym wants personal training and might be not the best fit for you, so that's where this whole thing goes wrong. And then the other thing, from not the side of the company but the side of the personal trainer, is the personal trainer who's actually self-employed thinks, I'm waiting until Fitness First brings me my lead so I can get my business. And you're like, nope, because you're self-employed. You're responsible for getting clients, not Fitness First, or not David Lloyd's, or not whoever out there. If you are a contractor, or if you have a contract with someone where you pay rent, you're still, if you're self-employed, you are your own business. You have to be responsible for advertising, for running your business, for getting clients. So this is where this whole thing goes wrong, in my opinion, that people jump into self-employment because they think, yeah, the earning potential is higher because I can earn more money. Because when I say I want 80 quid or 100 pounds for a session, you actually get that 100 pounds. But what they don't understand is that these 100 pounds deduct taxes, your marketing costs, your advertising costs, blah, 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 all that stuff. And then later on, out of your 100 plus VAT is gone, you might have, let's say, 40 left. But what you see is the 100 pounds. You're like, yeah, that's freaking great, right? Whereas on this side, when you're employed, you're like, you get 40 quid and you're like, I don't want to work for 40 quid, but okay, maybe I'll get, no, 40 is really high paid. Let's say 25 pounds. And you're like, okay, I'll get 25. Here I could earn 100 without knowing that it's not 100. And here you can earn 25. There you have it, guys. I don't want to take this any further. I think I made a lot of points in here which are quite valid. All right, let's recap what we just said. So, most important thing I think you can take out of all what we said is that you have to be responsible and knowing what you're up for when you're self-employed. So you have to do your taxes, and you have to know accounting, you have to know how to advertise and all that stuff, and don't outsource or think someone else will take care of it. You're the person running a business, so it's your responsibility. That's basically the nutshell of it. And if you're ready for it, you can make a lot of money with it. If you're not ready for it, you're gonna lose a lot of money with it. So that's why probably starting as an employee in a company, learning first is a good idea, and then taking that learning into your own business will help you later on. So thank you for watching today. I'll see you maybe tomorrow.